Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on this M135i beside me. As you can see, the car's got the wide body kit on it from the touring cars, and it's also running air ride. The customer has had this car sitting for quite some time, so he's brought it to us for us to recommission it and bring it back to its former glory so we can get it back on the road for him. So what are we actually going to do with this M135i? Because the car's been sat for so many years, we're very unaware of what the condition is underneath. The customer's really concerned as to what he's got hidden underneath there, so we're going to get it on the ramp and we'll check it out. Initially, we're going to do a full health check and we'll check over for leaks, we'll check tyres, the condition and the age, we'll check brakes, we'll check the suspension components, make sure nothing's loose and nothing's worn. We'll check for leaks on the diff, the gearbox, and then we'll just a general check over of every component of the car throughout underneath. Once we've done that, we're going to do a full service on the car. We'll change the diff fluid, we're going to change the gearbox fluid and the filters. We're going to do an oil and filter change, the air filter, the pollen filter. We're also going to do the brake fluid and we're going to do a coolant flush. Before we do any of that, the customer has told us there is an engine management light on the dash, so we're going to plug in our diagnostics and work out what the cause of that is. So let's get the car up on the ramp and we can start carrying out the work. With the car on the lift, the first thing to do is fault read the car and find out why it has an engine management light on. Lots of faults came up, but this is quite common with a car that may have had the battery go dead on it, so we cleared them and scanned it again. Just one fault came back and it was for a failed O2 sensor in the exhaust, so we'll get that swapped out for a new one from BMW. So with the engine fault rectified, I've now taken a look underneath the car and tried to get rid of some of the cobwebs under there. As we was expecting, it isn't in too bad of a condition underneath because the car is relatively low mileage and it is a fairly new car. But because the car is so highly modified, it's worth just giving it a good check over to make sure that all the components that have been fitted are all okay and that nothing has broken or perished or cracked or been damaged over the time it's been sat. As we're looking over the car though, I did notice on the tyres, as you can probably see, the tread is really good. It's got about 5 or 6 mil, but good tread doesn't always mean good tyre. So if you start looking around the tyre, you can notice the date on the tyre saying that it is 42 or the 42nd week of 2015, meaning the tyre is 7 years old. The age is showing now with all the perishing and cracks around the edge here, and that is a good indication of a non-roadworthy tyre. The front tyres are in the same condition, except they're a year older, so they're actually a 2014 tyre, which means they're 8 years old. So again, they will need changing even though the tread is good. So we're going to order a new set of tyres for the customer's car. While we're waiting on those, we will take the wheels off, we'll check the brakes over, and then we can carry on with the rest of the service. With the wheels off, we can see that the discs were quite badly worn and fairly rusted, so we got a new set on order. Next up is changing all of the fluids, the filters and the spark plugs. It's a good idea to change these over on a car that's been sitting around for so long because they can go bad over time. It's also a good idea to do these sort of things if you buy a car that you have no idea what the service history is. One of the more important things we're going to be changing is the brake fluid, and I'll give you more reasons on why we're doing that when I'm changing it over. With everything else done, it was time to change the brake fluid. Like the tyres we looked at earlier, this is not just for performance, but it's also for safety. This is because brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning that over time it attracts water. What this does is gives you a softer pedal feel and also lowers the boiling point of the fluid. Lower boiling point means that you're more likely to experience brake fade, and in an emergency situation you may not get the full braking power that you expect. Brake fluid should be replaced every 2 years to maintain optimal braking performance, and with fresh disc and pads all round fitted to this car, we will have more than enough of that. So the last thing we had to do on this car was change over the headlight. The reason being was the plug on the back where the wiring goes into was damaged, and it also had faulty modules on the side. So we replaced all of that and we got the headlight working again. After that, the final thing we had to do was take the car for an MOT. The car flew through the MOT, which we expected, and everything was perfectly fine. So the car is now ready to hand back over to the customer, and he can drive it and enjoy it as he pleases.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on. If you want to join the conversation, please drop us a comment below and we will do our best to respond to you. And if you're running out of things to watch, why don't you watch one of these two?